stuff. I guess the biggest piece of news is that we have acquired a backup for the repeater, the 145.15 repeater. It has arrived and it's in High Point in my living room, and it's just another DR1X. So if we have a problem with the repeater, we can just, well, it'll be installed in the rack, so it'll just be flipping cables over and turning it on. So that should help with troubleshooting and reliability. So there's that. Also, yes, Bob.
Before you move on too fast, there was no board meeting in March. Okay, you guess where I'm headed with this?
Okay.
I was here at the last meeting. There was no business transacted that authorized the purchase of said repeater. So, explain, please.
Well, we have board communications pretty much continuously, and it was recommended by the engineering committee to have a backup repeater, and we had an electronic motion, which we call an email. The motion's made on email. Everybody on the board votes on it, and it was passed.
Did you have constitutional approval for that?
I believe so. I would have to ask one of my constitutional experts.
The expenditure of that level of, that amount of money?
Yeah, we're talking about right around $500.
There's not even anything in.
So,
You might want to say that the source of the $500 may be sale of equipment.
yeah.
What is it? How do you know?
The motion which initiated the purchase of the backup repeater also included a caveat that we use sales from donated and out of use equipment to fund this repeater. We just got a donation, big donation dropped off to us a couple weeks ago that actually includes an older 2-meter repeater, a set of duplexers, a bunch of old GE Master 2 mobile radios, and some other stuff like that. So the motion in which we initiated the purchase of the repeater included the requirement that we sell donated equipment to fund it.
So has that equipment been sold to?
It will be going to Handfest. It has not yet been sold.
I'm at a loss to understand how it is that you can, in your wisdom, I mean, what level of wisdom?
Are you saying, are you like insulting me right now, Bob?
No, I'm questioning the action of purchasing new equipment without membership approval at the level of $500 and having equipment in hand to be sold to underwrite that and not even sold the equipment.
We're taking the equipment to Handfest. So, I mean, we need a backup for the repeater. Right now, 145.15 is the only VHF repeater. Right? What happens when it goes down? We needed a backup. The engineering committee said we need a backup. We need a backup. We got a backup.
I'm not taking issue with that concept. I'm taking issue with the mechanics of how it was done.
Okay?
Bob, where does it say in the bylaws that it has to come to the membership? There's no monetary limit or statute. If you find it, show it to me. I'm not on the board anymore. I spent 2 years on the board though, and it doesn't say that it has to come to the membership. In the past, the board has brought it to the membership for certain things, but this was something that had to be acted on based on a time limit from Yesu on a promotion that saved us a whole lot of money, and based on us being the only active VHF repeater right now. Do you find it in the bylaws where it says they needed to bring it to us as the members? Show it to me. It's not there.
I'm also not aware of that. I mean, the board has a responsibility to take care of the equipment and make sure that we have what we need to serve the members. And we felt it was our responsibility to make sure that we had a backup system for the current repeater system. So, with that in mind, and with the expiration date that JSU had published on the promotional deal, we didn't, I think it actually expired before this meeting, so that's what happened. I mean, we have the backup repeater now, and it will be going in within a couple of weeks. The other thing I was gonna mention about the repeater system is, we do want to put some audio files, voice announcements on the repeater to get rid of the computer voice. If you're interested in helping with that effort, contact anyone on the engineering committee. We'd like to have maybe a variety of voices, you know, not just the same guy every time or whatever. If your family or friends or somebody that you like to listen to, you think they have a great voice, if you want to record them and send them in to us, we'll work on including that.
Well, James Earl Jones.
He knows James Earl Jones, so we're hooked up. That's good.
You're gonna maybe send out, like an email with the phrases and things that we need for
Yeah,
next things, so
yeah,
we'll know
the-
what to.
Yeah,
What
we're
to
gonna
sample.
put together a list probably of, you know, welcome to W4 GSO repeater. You know, we need that, we need net announcements, we need, we probably don't need the one that says there is no mail. But we'll do some other ones, like that. So that's pretty much what I have. Patrick, do you wanna say something about OM real quick?
Absolutely. So, hopefully my emails have not been going to your spam folders, because some of you have just still told me that you've not gotten my emails. So I think it started last year when I was doing field day. I have Gmail and I have Yahoo, and at one point I got flagged by both of my email providers as a potential spammer. So I had to fill out a whole questionnaire and all kinds of stuff to prove I wasn't. But if you haven't gotten an email yet and you haven't been at one of the last couple of meetings, Odyssey of the Mind is this Saturday. It is the State High School Science Championship, and they have asked for our assistance in providing communications. It'll be taking place on the A&T campus. It'll be in 6 or 7 different buildings on the campus. We will have an on-site 440 analog repeater. We'll also be using we'll also have a backup 440 repeater off-site and 2 simplex frequencies, so we'll have plenty of redundancy going on. And anybody that is willing to or wants to participate, it's really a lot of fun, because they give these kids a problem and a limited amount of supplies and a limited amount of time to come up with a solution for it, and it's pretty cool. So if you don't have an HT, I have plenty. If you don't have a 440 HT, I should say, or just don't have an HT period, I have plenty of 440 HTs. So come on out. We are pretty much at the bare minimum right now of what we need. So it'd be great to have a couple extra people for relief positions to float around and things like that. So come see me today, or email me, or call me. If you want to email me, it's my call sign, k2cpr@yahoo.com.
Thanks. Okay, Scott, do you have?
No, we don't have a presentation for April yet, so if you have something, if you'd like to talk, I'd love to talk to you. I had 2 other things that I wanted to mention. Last month, a couple months ago, I mentioned the Amazon thing, the smile.amazon.com, that's still going on. If you use Amazon, just go to smile.amazon.com, choose the club as your charity of choice, and we get a little tiny percentage of the donation, or a little tiny donation as a percentage of what you spend on Amazon. You may have seen in the feed line also that there is merchandise for sale. Look at the feed line for the URL. It's through a company called Spreadshirt. They make this stuff on demand, so when you order it, they make it, and then they send it to you. And if you look at the price, whatever it is, I ordered a mug, it was like $12 or something like that. The club gets 20% of that. So you get something with the GARA logo on it that you can, wear around or whatever.
Get your call sign.
Some of the shirts and stuff you can customize to have your own call sign on there, have the club logo on the back. Pretty neat. So, like I say, any of the sales on there, club gets 20% of that. And then I'll probably try to send out, or we'll get sent out to you. They have promotions. I know this coming weekend they have 15% off of everything on there. this past weekend they had free shipping and all this kind of stuff. So at least they get a little bit off that way, and you know, help support the club and just show support. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's available, excuse me, that's available through our website?
Yeah, if you go, I just posted a news article on there today that talks about it and has the links to it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Treasurer?
First of all, I want to thank Thomas Bertolino for his fine job in keeping track of all the folks who are members of the club and staying current with that, because his due diligence has really paid off. I want to say thank you, Tom. And then we have, you know, all the cash has been reconciled to the list. Everything's in the QuickBooks. We, you know, in the future, if we want, we can actually send invoices out and start billing automatically via the accounting system. But we don't have too many transactions. I can't say it's been a hard thing to do, but every check and now this the acquisition of that asset, it goes into the QuickBooks. There is one thing that I'd like to do. I know one, Chris, raise your hand, where are you? And maybe we could do an inventory just to make sure that we're up to date with the assets that are owned by the club, so this way we have the appropriate insurance, you know, something like that. That's it, just a little bit in-house cleaning and everything, and I think we're in good shape.
Cool, thanks. Okay. Got anything for us? Okay, members at large? No?
Anybody want to mention?
I have nothing.
Okay.
Tom has got, he wants to talk about, he's got a slide.
Okay.
Okay, there is the slide of all the people who have paid their 2017 dues. We have 83 members. There's only 82 up there. There's one without the call sign. And for your information, if everybody can remember, 2015 and 2016, we didn't take anybody off the roster for not paying dues, because we sort of like in the transition there lost track of what was going on, and we did not, it was our fault, it wasn't the club, the members' fault, so the club just decided to keep everybody on. However, this year we're keeping accurate count, so the dues was due in March, so it was 31 March, which is the limit by the bylaws. If you know a member who has not paid their dues, they'll be dropped from the rolls, and they will not receive any more emails or newsletters or anything like that. So there are 43 people who are in combination of 15 and 16 who haven't renewed. Some of them were one-times, because I can remember the names. Some of them have moved, and some of them have went to the AM Society in Sky. But so we got right now 83, and I believe, I give an estimate the first of the year, that we need around 80 people to break even with expenditure. 90 people to break even. So we're close to that. We'll probably get that money, that by the end of the month anyhow, because a lot of people pay the last minute check. Any questions? Okay, that's it.
Thanks, Tom. Does anybody else have any questions or comments or announcements?
Anyone going to Ham Vision?
There he is.
Two of us, I say maybe go to dinner or something, if people are gonna go.
Is that the radio?
No, the one in Dayton.
Oh, Dayton, okay.
Ex-Dayton.
Oh,
Yeah, it's in, Cindy.
They're still gonna call it Dayton though.
Well, it was in Crawford, over, so.
All right, I guess. You gonna introduce
Yeah.
Jim?
Yeah, tonight we have Jim Waynick, who is going to talk to us about Guilford County Aux Common. I think he's got some additional people who are going to give him a hand tonight. This would be great. Do you have anything you need to put on here?
Not yet, like that. I'll be done in about 25 minutes, so don't think you're gonna be here all night. We've sort of designed a program that'll last about 25 minutes. You know, it's interesting to be the person I am, because I come to you right after the fourth Sunday in Lent. My background is in the United Methodist Church. If you think it's electrical engineering or radio communications or all kinds of different things, you're crazy. It's not. But I have truly enjoyed working with the AUXCOM community, with the Aries community for the last, I don't know, maybe 7 years, something like that. There's a lot of miscommunication about AUXCOM and Aries. A lot of people think the federal government came in and stepped in and took away Aries from ARRL and different things. That's absolutely not true. What has happened is that Aries is part of the ARRL, is a rich tradition of bringing emergency communications to the table whenever things are bad, when there's a disaster, when there's a hurricane, when something bad happens. Aries has been able to help. But with Katrina, with 9/11, with different agencies working together and doing what has to be done, they formed the instant command system, and they understood that everybody needed to be on the same page. Police officers and firemen, folks who work for EMS, all have their own language. They all have their own 10 codes. They all have their own information to pass. Nobody knows what the other person's doing. So they moved to plain language. If you want to have volunteers working in the instant command system, you're going to need to use plain language. We're not cops, we're not firemen, we're not EMS workers. So as they developed this system, they found that they needed to have auxiliary communicators. And they said, let's go to the rich tradition of Aries and ham radio, pull these people up and help them work to gain the trust of the public service workers. That is the most complex thing that we do, is gain the trust of the people who work in public service in Guilford County and in the state of North Carolina. There are 200 agencies in Guilford County alone. Unbelievable, 200 agencies that if you said, if we were asked, are you part of Emergency Service Function 2, communications, and we said, yes sir we are, and they say, then we know exactly what you're doing, go do it. 200 different agencies, federal, state, local, it doesn't make any difference. ESF2, whether you're Navy Mars, whether you're the military, whether you're working at the 911 center, no matter what you're doing, you're part of ESF2. And we as volunteers do that. Now the problem with it was, we had to transition from a time when a volunteer didn't have to do anything and didn't feel responsible to be a member of the team with anybody. They could run their mouth, they could have all the opinions they wanted to do, they could tell the cops, they could tell the firemen, they could tell the EMS workers what they needed to do, and we had to overcome that barrier of zero trust of the public service community. And so that's what we work the hardest at, is to build that trust. So time continues on since AUXCOM was started, and they realized that we needed to be going to workshops and we needed to be doing things together. My AUXCOM class was at the State Emergency Operations Center for 20-hour class in 2013. In 2013, there were about 35 folks. Many of them are in this room here who made that first class. The second class was this past year. And it's all about learning the role that you play in the instant command system. It's like being on a football team. It's like being in a position where you know what you're doing. Here's an example. About a month after I took the role, I was in the radio room at Guilford County Emergency Operations Center. And they were having a paid exercise where they were paying people to come in and grade the county for a certificate grade, whatever that was, I have no idea. But we were being graded. The good news was when an exercise message came into the radio room that at a shelter, the shelter was actually Summerfield United Methodist Church. Shots fired, officers down, we need assistance immediately. The scribe to the radio operator had enough sense to get up, walk into the EOC, go to the law enforcement table, shots fired, officers down, Summerfield United Methodist Church, they need help immediately. Walk back to the radio room, fill out the 213 form, which is a written record that means if somebody gets hurt going out there, they can get disability insurance, which means that if FEMA decides to reimburse your community tax dollars so that you don't have to pay more tax dollars, that 213 is filled out. Took that 213 form back to the law table, had them sign the form, and went back and filed it properly. That was the first thing that I saw. Another story I want to tell you. A few months ago, there was a hurricane in North Carolina. We had an opportunity to send an operator to where that hurricane was. That operator went into an emergency operations center in an unnamed county in eastern North Carolina. They had ham radios and equipment and all kinds of equipment in the emergency operations center. Not one person from that county was AUXCOM trained. Not one person showed up to talk that guy through what he had to do. That storm continued on, and a couple of days later, an AUXCOM volunteer had to get busy helping to program radios because all of a sudden there was local, the firemen and the police department couldn't talk in that community. Then you had state showing up. All of a sudden you had federal, and the next day the helicopters showed up and air couldn't talk to ground. All the radios had to be reprogrammed. So people had to work reprogramming those radios, taking messages, helping to do anything, make coffee. It doesn't make any difference. You're a helper at the scene, working to do what needs to be done. That's the attitude you have to have. If you, I have asked guys specifically, and I have said to them, AUXCOM is not the place for you. Where a man is coming to the radio room and he is so enthralled with a police officer who's in there wanting to talk to him about his gun and can't do his job, can't stay focused on the job. I have let him know it is not the job that he needs to do, because our role is to fit seamlessly in with the police department, not quiz them about their gun. It doesn't work that way. So that's a little bit of what I have to go through with AUXCOM. Now, we've been honored to be involved with Greensboro Fire and Rescue. Seth Strayer has involved us a lot. Guilford County Emergency Management, we have built a reputation with them. Don Campbell, if there's a disaster and I'm called and put to work, there's 2 phone calls I make. One is I called Don Campbell and said I've got to go to work. Second one is to call my superior in Raleigh within Aries, which, because the incident command system is being activated, we now morph into being AUXCOM. We take off the Aries hat, we take off the radio garb, and we simply are business casual, walking into the state emergency operations center to help people understand, what goes on there, how this morph goes on from Aries to AUXCOM. And then I tell them that we're being put to work and to begin to get ready the next level of volunteers from the state of North Carolina who are going to come in for the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th operational period. Anybody want to ask me anything? All right. I think at this point I am asking for, Chan, are you up?
Yep.
Chan's going to tell you about the classes that we have to take in order to get ready to do AUXCOM, and I'll pass out something while he's doing that. Go ahead, Chan.
As you probably figured out from what Jim's been saying, our operations have to comply with the National Incident Management System, which is a federal thing developed with the Federal Forest Department and worked all the way across all disaster operations. Department of Homeland Security, which we fall under when we're working in the state EOC, requires all volunteers to be certified in at least 1, 2, 3, 4 courses: IS 100, IS 200, IS 700, and IS 800. and I'll give you a little blurb about each of those. These courses are available online, independent study, free of charge. These amateur operators who have been certified through these courses may be deployed to emergency operations centers, command posts, public safety answer points like 911 centers, or other points where interface with emergency management or government officials at any level is expected. I've got some information about the courses, and anybody who's interested in getting the training, come see me afterwards and I'll give you a copy of this thing. The base course, IS 100, is an introduction to the incident command system. The second one, IS 200, is for single resources and initial action incidents, like just enabling local personnel to operate more efficiently during an incident or event within the incident command system. IS 200 provides training and resources for personnel who are likely to assume a supervisory position within the incident command system. IS 700 is about the National Incident Management System. That's the whole overarching umbrella for this incident command system. A consistent nationwide template to enable all government, private sector, and non-governmental organizations to work together during domestic incidents. The final one, IS 800, is called the National Response Framework, and it's an elaboration of the NIMS concepts and principles, the whole national framework that we fit into. Any questions? Once you've got these courses under your belt, there is a web-based system that is kept in Raleigh that you have to upload your certification to. When you get to that point, Jim will work with you in getting you into that system. Yeah.
How long does it take to do all those trainings?
Maybe an hour, hour and a half apiece.
It's a basic training. It's extremely easy. It helps you get into the lingo. It takes a couple of years to get into OPSCOM really good, but this is the basic of the basic.
Yeah, this is the base that without which you cannot actually show up and try to do anything on an operation. There's several of us who have now done the course in Raleigh that Jim was talking about. There's several others of us that are going to be going May 1st through 5th to the Charlotte Fire Academy, where we'll get some more training along the same lines. Okay.
Okay, Rick Ruff's going to share with you a little bit of information as well now also. Let's go with it.
To sort of fill in what Chan said, these first 4 courses, for those of you that were Boy Scouts or are Boy Scouts, it's like joining a troop. Those 4 courses, you become a scout. Now, as you go on up, you go to tenderfoot, second class, first class. Some of these other courses will get you there, but it's more or less just like joining. I passed out, I'm sorry I didn't have enough for each one of you. I passed out, there's 3 pages of the handout. Let me say one thing to begin with. Very good friend of mine that I've known for probably 35 or 40 years is a ham. He's a former telecommunications person for a number of agencies. And when I asked him, I said, why don't you, are you going to get involved with this OPSCOM stuff? Well, no, I don't want to do it. Guys, honest to goodness, these 4 courses right here, that's all the qualifications to become an OPSCOM member. Maybe an hour and a half apiece, and some of them, the 100 and 200, that's sort of stretching it a little bit. you can look the answers up. And write them down and go through and take the test. And, you know, you're probably not gonna learn as much, but you can do it, no problem. You're not gonna have a proctor there telling you what to do or anything. Very easily done, and you learn a little something with it. His answer to me was, well, I'm not gonna do it because when it gets bad enough, they're gonna call me. They're gonna call me. Folks, they ain't gonna call me.
Not anymore.
If you don't have AUXCOM certification, you're not gonna get in. It's like if this group formed a football team and wanted to play the Carolina Panthers, we may be every bit as good as the Patriots are. But the NFL tells who they play and who not. You're not gonna get into the ball game without these credentials. You know, I'm sorry. I know everybody's got good intentions, but they're just not gonna call. So, you know, if you wanna be a part of this, and we need some help, we would like to see all of you as members of AUXCOM. But you just, you know, you're not gonna be able to do it. On this first page of this thing, you're gonna see it says Exercise 8-1, Wildland Fire Organizational Chart. This was part of the class that we took down in Raleigh. I think it was November, wasn't it, Greg? Something like that. And this was one of the exercises we actually went through. And this was the organizational chart for that exercise. As you can see, the top of it is, was the wildfire, and the top of it says the Unified Command. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means that probably the fire chief, the police chief, and the town manager all got together and they decided the three of them was gonna be in the command position for this incident right here. Where this come about, this whole ICS and NIMS, the National Incident Management System, was based on some things that happened in California years ago, back in the 60s. Of course, they're known for their wildfires out there. And it became quite obvious that they couldn't have 150 fire chiefs telling, you know, their bunch to do this, and the guy next door, his bunch to do this right here. They had to unify the command structure. And that's what all this stuff is based on, is that right there. We all know what happened on 9/11. The police couldn't talk to the fire people couldn't talk to somebody else, the EMS couldn't talk to the police, and over 3,000 people died. I'm not saying that if they had been in a unified command system, that even a life could have been saved. But you can look at it and see some things that there could have been lives saved. Where we fall in as AUXCOM members, if you'll look down, there are, of course, right under the command, there's a safety officer, and it's called information officer. We refer to it as public information officer, and I'm going to touch on that again here in a minute. Underneath that, you have operations, planning, logistics, and the finance admin section. We fall under the logistics section. Don't ask me why. There's some movement afoot, from what we understand, of being moved to the operations people. But as of what I can find out today, we're still under logistics. If you will look on the next page, it says National Incident Management System, that's NIMS. Incident Communication System, ICS, that's Incident Command System too. You'll see sort of a more simple organizational chart, and you see the logistics section over on the far right. And then it's broke up into some subsections, services and support. Okay, the communications unit is of course under the services. The last page in the handout is where it breaks that communications unit down, and that's how we're organized as far as ops comms. You have a communications unit leader. That is what we refer to as a COM-L. Then you have technical specialists. That's what we are. Every folks representing OpsCom in this room have been through this training that we talked about. We are all considered technical specialists. And then that's you see it down where it's circled. And you have a position called a COM-T, Communication Technicians. Some of these folks that's going down to Charlotte, that's one of the things they're going to be teaching down there. Also, down on the bottom right-hand corner, right here, you see radio operator or radar. Again, that's a position. As you go through this training, you get your certifications for that. As Jim said, we've got to fit seamlessly when we go to work. That means you drop your cap with your badge on it, your patch on it, your jacket with all your patches on it, your vest, whatever. And more important, probably the most important thing, you drop your ego before you walk through the door. You walk through the door, polo shirt, button-down collar shirt, whatever, like Jim said, business casual, and you report to the person you're supposed to report to, and you go to work. You don't want to go in, and this has happened, believe me. Tom Brown, who's the state EC, can tell you a story about down east during the hurricane. You want to do away with this. Look, I'm a ham operator, and I'm here to fix everything that you think, that I think is wrong with your communication system. And I'm here to turn this thing around, and we're going to fix you up. They got people that's paid bunches of money to look after their comm system. They don't need you talking about, well, our repeater back over there is 2 Motorola Progress Line, Motrack units. And going past that, guys. It really is. The way I summed it up in this thing is keep your mouth shut and your ears open. They've called you there for a purpose, and that's probably communications. We hope it is. But you might be asked to go get somebody a cup of coffee. If Scott can't leave his position right here, he don't have a chance to go get a cup of coffee, he might say, can you go get me a cup of coffee? And you need to do that. You need to be prepared with a good attitude. Don't kick the table that Scott's sitting at and say, well, I guess I can. You need to with a good attitude. We had a member that was down at the EC, down at the EOC, down in Raleigh during Matthew. He walked into the break room, and there was a highway patrolman mopping the floor in the break room. Well, there was another mop there, so Gary grabbed the other mop and he helped him mop the floor. I'm not telling you need to go clean bathrooms and stuff like that, but help out however you can help out. Jim touched on plain language.